August 25, 2021. Good day all. This is a message from Sierra Victor. We continue with message number 7 of counter-guerrilla operations with FM 90-8/MCRP333A as reference and discuss guerrilla support. A major concern common to all guerrillas is support. Support can be divided into two general categories, namely popular support and logistical support. Popular support. As discussed previously, the guerrilla must have either the active or passive support of the populace to succeed. Popular support alone will not ensure the success of guerrilla operations. Ineffective operations, unwise decisions, and poor leadership are examples of deficiencies that would preclude his success. Popular support should be viewed, instead, as a condition that must exist for the guerrilla to initiate and conduct operations in a given area over a period of time. If popular support does not exist or is withdrawn, the guerrilla will not be able to conduct operations with any hope of success. Therefore, one of the prime considerations for the counter-guerrilla force is to gain and maintain the support of the populace. Areas where active support is given to the guerrilla are excellent targets for psychological operations. Populace and resources control operations will play a vital role in winning support away from the guerrilla. In areas where only passive support is given to the guerrilla, then government efforts through psychological operations and civil affairs, as well as the provision of security, must be initiated to gain active support and trust of the government. In areas that the government controls and where the populace supports the government, increased emphasis is placed on all 6 major operations in IDAD to maintain that support. Logistical support. This is one of the guerrilla's most vulnerable areas. In early operations, the guerrilla relies on his base of popular support for logistical requirements. As the guerrilla force develops and expands, its logistical needs may increase to the point that the internal support base can no longer provide for all of the guerrilla's logistical requirements. If the insurgent movement has not reached the point where the attainment of its overall goals is imminent, then the guerrilla may have to receive additional logistical support from another source. If the guerrilla receives support from external sources, then he is faced with the problem of security for supply lines, transport means, and storage facilities. External support should not be considered a prerequisite for the initiation of counter-guerrilla operations. It is an additional factor that, if present and effective, will enhance the capabilities of the guerrilla. In any case, the counter-guerrilla force should seek to interdict the logistic support that the guerrilla is receiving, whether it be internal or external. Since the guerrilla operates along military lines, he will usually have temporary sites for headquarters, installations, facilities, and operational units. These temporary sites are called guerrilla base camps. It is in these camps that the guerrilla has his command posts, training areas, communications facilities, medical stations, and logistics centers. The guerrilla may also use these camps for rest, retraining, and re-equipping. It must be understood that these camps do not equate with conventional force operational bases, since the guerrilla does not seek to defend them if they are discovered. They are temporary and depend on secrecy for their existence. If discovered, the guerrilla will usually abandon the site and move his operation. These bases are kept small, and usually there is more than one base in the guerrilla's area of operation. Characteristics of a base camp area are: cover and concealment. The guerrilla will attempt to locate base camps in areas where cover and concealment provide security against detection. Rough, inaccessible terrain. Usually, the rougher the terrain, the less likely is the chance of being surprised by government forces. Terrain is chosen to provide security against detection. Key terrain, as seen by the conventional force, is usually avoided. While guerrillas avoid defensive combat, they emphasize short-term defensive action in the base camp vicinity to aid evacuation, if necessary. Suitable for bivouac. The area selected is a suitable bivouac area. Consideration is given to food and water supply, grade or slope of terrain, access to trails, and protective environment. Remoteness. Base camps are usually in relatively remote areas for security. To preclude accidental discovery, Base camps are not usually near inhabited areas. However, because the guerrilla must be able to fill his logistical needs, his base camp usually will not be more than 1 day's march from a village or town. If the counter-guerrilla force can locate and disrupt these camps, then the guerrilla can be kept off balance and on the run, allowing the counter-guerrilla force to gain the initiative. In our next message we will talk about guerrilla tactics. Please visit our Dropbox account for all our previous material. Links can be obtained from any admin on the Sierra Victor groups. Thank you for listening or reading this message. Please feel free to use and distribute as needed. Our messages are not by any means enticing you to a revolution of sorts, but rather to equip you with the necessary theoretical background in order to assist local armed forces or police in stabilizing a SHTF situation. We wish you well. Sierra Victor.